Do you guys ever think about the fact that Bizarro and Doomsday are technically brothers?
Because it's Thursday.
Hello, Watchtower Database, and welcome back to the Vanishing Point. I wanted to keep the Superman fan theories rolling. So today, let's take a look into the history of Bizarro. First appearing in Superman the Animated Series episode Identity Crisis, Bizarro is a clone of Superman taken from a DNA sample left behind in Lex Luthor's museum after Superman fought the giant dinosaur. Following his apparent death at the end of that episode, he later found his way into the Fortress of Solitude, where Superman's Brainiac orb mistook him for the last son of Krypton himself, Kal-El. Once again convinced that he was the Man of Steel, Bizarro returned to Metropolis to create Krypton on Earth. Once Superman actually got through to Bizarro and explained to him what being Superman actually means, the OG Supes took Bizarro to his own world that he could take care of. He shows up one more time in Superman the Animated Series in the episode Little Big Head Man, in which Mxyzptlk brings him back to Earth to prank Superman. However, by the end of that episode, Bizarro was returned to his world, and Mxyzptlk was sentenced to 3 months of community service there before he could return to the 5th dimension. Confusion arises though when we see Bizarro has returned to Earth by the time of Justice League Unlimited and spends a lot of time working with the Legion of Doom. So what is it that brought him home? Some have theorized that maybe the Bizarro we see in Justice League Unlimited is a separate clone. However, I don't think that's the case. At the end of Identity Crisis, the rest of the clones in the Bizarro batch were also destroyed. Not to mention Bizarro is uniquely himself in that his genetic makeup is caused by a flawed cloning process. And by the time of Justice League Unlimited, we know that the cloning technology in the DCAU has made leaps and bounds through Doomsday, Galatea, and the Ultimen. So what did happen then? Well, let me turn your attention to a small detail in Justice League's Twilight. Aboard Brainiac's ship, we see tons of images of worlds he's destroyed since the last time he's beat Superman. And one of them looks kind of familiar. James, enhance! 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 Side by side, this looks an awful lot like Bizarro's world. Strengthening the idea that Brainiac destroyed Bizarro's world, turning through the pages of Superman Adventures number 41, we get 22 one-page stories revolving around Superman's recurring cast. One of the final stories in that book may be our last glimpse of Bizarro before he returns to Earth in Justice League Unlimited. In it, we see him still on his world during cataclysmic weather events, including lightning storms and volcanic eruptions. And while it may be a stretch to attribute that to Brainiac, the timeline syncs up pretty well. As we stated before in both our Justice League and Static Shock timeline videos, Brainiac's return in Twilight happened sometime between November to December of 2001. Looking into Bizarro's timeline, the last time we see him in Little Big Head Man, we know at least has to be summer of 1999 due to the appearance of Supergirl in a quick cameo, meaning that Mxyzptlk can't return to the 5th dimension until September of that year at the very earliest, and wouldn't be able to return to the regular dimension until December. Now, while Mxyzptlk timeline is a topic for another time, Superman Adventures number 41 does give us 4 more Mxyzptlk stories, which means at the very least, if we're taking things in that issue in chronological order, Bizarro's story can't happen until December of 2000 at the very earliest. However, in that issue, in between Mxyzptlk stories 2 and 3, we see a story of Toyman writing a Christmas list to Santa. Taking this at face value to be sometime in the holiday season, we can assume that story takes place in November or December, meaning the third Mxyzptlk story can only occur that early, pushing Bizarro's story into February 2001 at the very earliest. Looking at it from a different angle though, this means the second Mxyzptlk story might not happen until as late as December of 2000, pushing the fourth one into June of 2001, and Bizarro's story even later than that. This is all important because this puts us at the very least in the same year as Brainiac's return, possibly within mere months of it, which to me solidifies Brainiac destroyed Bizarro's world. But honestly, who knows? Maybe Bizarro even helped him with it. After all, he did want to destroy the makeshift Krypton that he created on Earth, and a destroyed planet and a return to Earth would even strengthen his parallels with the last son of Krypton. However, there is one small hole in this theory that I just can't wrap my head around, and I want to leave it open-ended so I can hear from you guys down under in the Australia box. We know why he came back to Earth now, but how did he get there? We're shown in Little Big Head Man that Bizarro cannot breathe in space, so who did he hitch a ride with? Did Brainiac perhaps make the same mistake as the Orb and think that, oh, this is Kal-El, and then gave him a ride to Apocalypse where Darkseid said, nah, that's not him, and boom tubed him back to Earth? Is it possible that maybe after spending 3 months together, Mitch's Spitlick felt bad for his old pal and he teleported him to Earth? Maybe Bizarro's new girlfriend Giganta had something to do with it. Honestly though, my headcanon is that the Preserver is still out there and he follows Brainiac around trying to preserve the last of species from worlds that Brainiac destroys. And maybe he thought Bizarro was worthwhile until realizing he was a clone. At the end of the day, I don't know, and there's a lot of possibilities, so I'd love to hear what you guys think. That all being said, I'd love to thank all these lovely humans for being Patreon sponsors for us this month. Not only are your contributions of as low as $1 helping grow this channel, it's also getting you bonus content every month, including behind the scenes stuff, early access to videos, chats with James and Ted, and sometimes even me if work schedules will allow it. And you can even vote for what you want us to cover. If you've been enjoying our content and haven't checked it out yet, I highly suggest you do so. You can type in patreon.com/DCAU Watchtower or just click the link in the description below. Whether you donate or not, we super appreciate you guys. And once again, I've been Maddie Washburn. This has been The Vanishing Point. We'll continue to stay those things so long as you continue to stay you. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Love you. Huh? I don't know, Bono's kind of a bitch.